Hello, my friends. I am pretty confident I am now streaming. I can scroll over here and check, and look at that nice icon, me appearing. Lovely, lovely. So I've already broken out the chat so that it's to the right-hand side of my command line interface, or CLI, or Linux terminal, or shell, or whatever have you. And I left the startup message from Ubuntu, from Microsoft's version of Ubuntu. This is a message that comes up once per day that tells you some things about the version of Microsoft's Linux that you're running. And it looks like a bunch of gobbledygook, but I thought it would be nice for me to at least show it once, right? So there's some pertinence. And then it starts doing some marketing stuff. This is something I'll be doing at some point. Right now, I don't do Kubernetes. As popular as it is, I use some lightweight stuff that's provided by my home NAS, or network attached storage, or network application server. So I don't need to deal with Kubernetes. It lets me run like one containerized Linux at a time, or it could do more. I just do one at a time. But this tiny version of Kubernetes called microK8s is a good way to go about it. The API and the whole technical overhead is supposed to be much lower, much simpler than the legendarily complicated Kubernetes. Meritoriously complicated, right? What it's doing is actually quite an amazing thing. It's used for virtualized data centers and all that. So most people don't need all that stuff. So when you need a lighter weight version, there's that. And when you need an even lighter weight version, there's the type of stuff that comes with NAS software and things like it to let you run single lightweight, blah, blah, blah. Introducing expanded security maintenance. Okay, there's stuff. They're trying to get you to pay money, right? All this Linux stuff is free, essentially. So this is Ubuntu, or Canonical, the parent company's attempt to at least get some money out of it, aside from their partnership with Microsoft, which is surely a great source of revenue for them. And then finally, the lines that I insert in, and a little reminder that when you use the drink me script that I provide, Linux is running services in the background that host Jupyter. And that's what this is about. You can visit this location in a browser and get Jupyter, or you can see where it's running, because anyone who's run Jupyter through the Anaconda install or the Jupyter Lab desktop install from GitHub knows that it leaves an open black window, or it's got these services running in the background as Windows services. Well, they can be Linux services, and I'll show you that. Screen-ls. There's Jupyter running as a Linux service. And it's under the GNU Screen program, which means you can attach to it and see what it looks like. Screen-R for reattach to Jupyter. And there is Jupyter running in the background, right? So if I wanted to, I could get to it through a variety of different ways. The most popular way is localhost :8888. And if I opened another browser tab here, I could go to localhost :8888. This is Windows side. I remind you, I am Windows side in a Windows browser, yet here is Jupyter being hosted under Linux. And sometimes it's hard to appreciate the benefit of that in the long term, medium to long term. And it's also difficult to just see it at all, that little fact. So you can always import sys, and then you can do sys.version, and it'll tell you what version you're running on. Now, that doesn't tell you a lot about Linux, except for the fact that it's a really new version of Python under Jupyter, which alone is a great reason to do it in this context. You're not necessarily going to get the latest, greatest Pythons when you get your Jupyter through the web hosts like Google Colab or Microsoft Azure Notebooks or Binder, whatever. But here you can get the latest and greatest. And if it wasn't, you would just do an update of it. And anyway, sys.executable, exe executable, will always show you the path to the executable. And here you can tell a lot of it from the path: home, Ubuntu, Pi 311, bin, Python 311. And if that doesn't convince you, let's see if I remember correctly. Let's import OS. And then os.name, if I have it correct. Yeah, POSIX. You can see POSIX is a different kind of way of telling you that you're on Linux, Unix, or a Unix-like operating system, so that everything is standard, right? The whole reason for this. And that'll bring us to the journal. This comes off as blah, blah, I know, but this is kind of the rough pass to make sure that I'm thinking about everything I need to be thinking about. So here, Control-A-D brings me out of that place where you can see Jupyter running, clear, and then my journal. Usually I type all and hit enter, but I'm going to CD into hide, and then CD into the repo, and then I'm going to vim journal, just so that things are a little bit less mysterious for you now. And there was a file in there because I didn't quit out of this gracefully before, so I'm going to hit A for abort, and then I'm going to remove .journal. That file that's there that's kind of messing up the clean load. So if I go like that, here is the last state I left off in my last video, Hello World. Now, I actually don't necessarily want this because I'm going to be continuing on my last post. And I promised talking it out loud, and I think I will. I am communicating to our content team the rapidly evolving Bard user interface issues. It's trying to catch up with Bing, which has set expectations by providing some very good implementations on giving citations and copy-paste links on the responses. This is in the chatbots. This is the new Bard chatbot versus the Bing chatbot that's been around for a while. I think over a month now. Is it coming? I don't know. But I've been watching Bing closely. Now that I have access to Bard, I'm watching Bard closely, and I'm comparing the two. And I didn't want to derail that meeting, but I did want to give those breaking developments because it's new stuff. People are learning this for the first time, and it's shaping the future of the industry, maybe faster than people think it's going to. And I have to balance what the Moz users need because, you know, Moz users are very frequently newcomers to the field of SEO, barely understanding SEO. It's, you know, and I'm going to be asking them to code in Python. So I'm not talking to necessarily the Moz newcomers. I'm talking to people who might use the various Moz APIs, like the Links API. And so I have to align what I'm passionate about to what the Moz users really need. And I'm kind of convinced that's a lot of cheerleading and a proven formula on becoming slightly more advanced SEOs. And all my work is Jupyter Python based, running on the local machine and under Linux, as I just showed you. And that's very advanced, no matter how easy Microsoft and myself through my Drink Me script are making it for people. Nonetheless, I have to dive into this stuff for myself so as not to fall behind. Changes in the industry are so fast right now, in particular, that if I don't do this recalibrating, it'll be that much harder to catch up again later. So I'm basically tweaking my new baseline capabilities. You're seeing a lot of my baseline capabilities here, right? Full screen Vim, full screen Jupyter, right? So I should probably show you what things more typically look like. The second screen is always full screen Jupyter, right? I like full screens. I don't like Windows very much. I was quite disappointed that Windows, both through the Macintosh and through Microsoft, lit the world on fire. Windows everywhere. Full screen is much better. Now, even though I could go truly full screen, this stuff is supported now. It's kind of hard to find under these full screen, under these breakout apps, but you go in here, go to more tools, and if you wanted truly full screen, you could do that. Look at that. And it tells you to exit, swipe down from the top, or use the F11 key. But now you lose the taskbar and you can't rapidly switch like there. And I like that overview that's shown. So pull down from the top, pull down from the top. Is it clicking that? Yeah, that gets you back to maximized but not full screen. So I've been going with maximized but not full screen. So I have tabs here and the taskbar. And then the third one is always full screen. Browser, well, not full screen as I'm saying. So you get the idea, nearly full screen. And hey, no users. Okay, whatever. This is for myself mostly. So open that. There's my 3 windows. And this is fixed muscle memory screen. 1, 2, 3. Journal, Jupyter, browser. Journal, Jupyter, browser. Journal, Jupyter, browser. So I'm tweaking my baseline capabilities. As you can imagine, when I do stuff like that, it takes some recalibration and tooling and habits because I'm a muscle memory driven person. I really don't like these things changing on me, so I go for timeless. And I found out that Python sandboxes are being provided for OpenAI ChatGPT plugins. That means that the AIs can actually run the Python for you, do the debugging for you, without you even having to copy and paste. That's huge. That's very important. And the stuff I'm doing right now is level receiving. Okay, yeah, I'm jumping around a little bit in concepts, but once you're on, if you go the Jupyter route and you get started on Colab or Azure or Binder or any of the other vast array of hosted Jupyter choices, there's no going back to the native install or the Linux install because you've already spent your willingness. You spent your willingness to do new things, to chase the rabbit, to go past your comfort zone. And you've done it to get to a cloud-based Jupyter, and you're not going to be moving again soon after that. So vendors got you locked in. If you go to Colab right out of the starting gate, or one of these other ways, even Kaggle, even one of these other ways of running your Python in the cloud, things you're not going to be able to do include coming from an IP that's not the cloud providers. You're stuck to the cloud provider's IP, and they know the cloud IPs. Lots of people do the same work through those same IPs all the time, and you're not going to be able to do all the crawling stuff you are going to want to do, and you are not going to be able to change your IP very easily running through a proxy on a cloud server. Has money expense and all kinds of issues to it, complexity that just isn't there if you get one of the El Cheapo desktop VPN softwares and just run it locally and change your IP locally. Also, you won't be able to do browser automation with cloud providers, which is Playwright and Puppeteer controlling Chrome or Edge. And that's a critical part of a lot of the SEO tricks, I'm going to be teaching you. And then finally, when you process your data locally, you can just double click the results, bring it into Excel locally, and having the data where you are has a lot of advantages to it. Whenever you process in the cloud, your output files get output to hard drives off in the cloud elsewhere that's not well integrated with your local tools, and there's this giant disconnect feeling. So my first piece with Moz along these lines is probably going to be showing an example of the types of things you can do with Python and Jupyter. Whet their appetites with some big wins, dispel their fear, and help them to take the tiny first baby steps outside their comfort zones, right? That's my plan. So I had that next call. This is where I was. And then I came back and I said, practice live casting. I practiced live casting a little bit. I made sure I had the capability, and then it kicked me off because, my power went dead on my laptop. And what I was doing during that live casting was asking Bing about listing the ways to run Jupyter. And so it showed a few ways. Not exactly the answers I was looking for. Bard showed a few ways, and again, not really the answers I was looking for. So I rephrased the question and I said, list the cloud notebook hosts like Google, Colab, Azure Notebook, and others. And now they gave me, there's Kaggle, there's Amazon, there's IBM, and you can run Jupyter Notebook. And then I asked and then I asked Bard, and they tell me also Colab Azure. And then this one called CoCalc and Kaggle, which I mentioned, and Binder, which I mentioned. These are ones that come up a lot. And they're great for sharing, and they're great when you want to do exactly what everyone else is doing in exactly the same way as everyone else, without the advantages that the power of your desktop brings to the picture. That's where competitive advantage resides. And it doesn't really have to be all that difficult. You don't need to use Vim like I'm doing here. Let's separate those issues. I advocate and am passionate about a few different things. They're not all required out of the starting gate. There's some really easy ways to get started. I fear explaining how to do cloud Jupyter hosts, because you're leaving all the real power on the table. But why not crawl before you walk? If I lay the issues out very clearly at the outset, I can help folks go from Colab to local Linux-based Jupyter later, maybe, if you're not excessively predisposed. Okay, all right, so the main goal here is just to get back into the habit of live casting and to make sure that I am doing it. Live streaming. Yeah, there I am live streaming. There was someone here. They popped in, they popped out. That's fine. This is more for me than it is for you. I'm sure that's not a big sell in staying tuned, but what am I doing? I am applying the principles of commitment and consistency as laid out in the seminal marketing books. In the seminal marketing book, Influence, aka The Art of Persuasion. It's been called both things over the years by Cialdini. Robert Cialdini? Cialdini. Okay, and this will get to how things are going to be different now, because I really want to have the chatbots in here. I'm going to be switching I'm likely switching from Vim to Neovim so I can get GitHub Copilot in this environment. I mean, it's going to look identical. That's one of the key things I'm doing because I want to be able to ask, I guess it's ChatGPT questions as I go, GPT-4 through OpenAI, plugins, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to do some of those questions here, right? So I go over to the browser, and then I pop open a new browser tab. I guess I had one there already. And anything that goes in here is a Bing question. So who is Robert, C-I-A-L-D-I-N-I? Who is Robert Cialdini? So for anyone who doesn't quite realize, this is what's such a big deal about Microsoft's move. They control the default web browser. They put Edge on your system. It's there. And when you pull up your default web browser and type something into the address bar, you've got Bing Chat. You've got artificial intelligence helping you live your life. And as you can see here, it's questions 1 of 20. So that whole thing that Microsoft and Bing was being ridiculed about in the early days, just 5 answers because it goes crazy. You can see they're up to 20, right? Robert Cialdini is an American psychologist and academic who is considered to be the seminal expert. See, I use that word, they use it, I'm not kidding, in the rapidly expanding field of influence and persuasion. Did I have that spot on? He is the region, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so anyway, I love that you can do this kind of copy here, and then you go back to a journal, and then you can do that paste here, and look how nice that paste is, right? Here you got your citations. Here's the answer to the question, which I can format it with a VIPGQ, right? And this no longer needs to be a bullet point. I gave up the bullet point, and this is a question to Bing. I asked Bing, who is Robert Cialdini, right? So it's only fair now to do the same with Bard. And with Bard, I have lately been just deciding to use Chrome. And for Bing, I use Edge. For Bard, I use Chrome, who is Robert Cialdini. Let's try it right there. See, that's not going to do it. That's still a standard web search. And here's a big split between Microsoft and Google. Google still wants you going into standard web search because AdWords, it's me talking. All my opinions are my own. I happen to be working for an SEO company, but when I do this kind of stuff, this is just exploration. This is just open-ended exploration. And it's logged in as one of my accounts. It's not my main daily account. This is one I keep around for purposes like this, having separate logins while still being in the SEO industry. So if you want that question to be asked of Bard, you have to go to a special bard.google.com URL, which does not come up in night mode. So you got to have that extra stress on your eyes of photons being shot into you that you don't really need. But let's get Bard's answer. Hey, look at that sort. Look at that citations. Oh, yeah, this is the best example of Bard citations I've seen yet. It's multiple, it's 4 different links. However, if you recall, when I did this with Bing, these are those citations. You can't particularly see it well, but if I scroll over to the right, you can see it. And the first citation is kind of butt up against here. So if I do that, and then indent those a little, that'll be formatted much better for Markdown when it finally outputs. I also like making these into H2s lately. And so let's copy that Bard response. And one of the things about Bard you should also know is there are other drafts. And let's see if the other drafts, hey, look, the citations are in the other draft. And the citations are in all 3 drafts. Okay, so this is a big step forward. This is one of the most criticized fronts because Google's a links company. Their fortune and empire was built on the link graph. And for them to not include the links that were used in putting something together, you don't know if it's hallucinating. Think about all the work you would have to do just to tell whether it's hallucinating. So this helps with that. But let's get to the thing I've been saying, which is to copy, right? And then we go over here again to Vim, ZZ to center it, push that one down a little, and paste this in, and there is no citations. When you do the VIPGQ, whoops, when you do multiple lines, you don't need VI for visual select and internal. VI, that's the VI of the VIPGQ, visual select internal paragraph, that's VIP. All you need is the GQ. Oh, you know what? Let me show you something. This is something I've been meaning to do. We can pull this down, have chat down here. And that leaves some room up here for the other thing I've been trying to get myself into the habit of doing, which is Karnak. It's a little bit crashy, it's a little bit buggy, but now you can see when I do GQ, you can see the GQ come up here. You can see what I'm typing. Now I didn't get my centering exactly right for that. This should be over here, and this should be over here. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. All right. So now you can see as I type in that space here, I guess I bring this up and there. That's maybe I'll use power tools to get this spacing exactly right in the future. This does not need to be shown. I don't want to exit it though either, so we just drag it in there. That's a Windows 10 thing. You can hide all your little taskbar notifications things, and I've done that right down to OBS Studio, but I leave OBS Studio showing because I need that little red thing to show me when I'm streaming or not streaming. But everything else is gone. If this were Windows 11, I would not be able to strip it down to this much clean and pure and sort of the flow. It's in order to achieve the flow in the zone. That's what this is about. All right, so when I switch between going into interviewing the chatbots and open-ended journaling on my own, I like to use these triple hyphens, which become horizontal bars on the Markdown. And I guess I'll render this out, right? So normally this is very full screen and focused. It's unusual for all this stuff to be here. That's for your sake, so that we can chat, so that you can see what I type in Vim. And we'll do a before and after. We'll go to my blog, mikelev.in/blog. And you can see the last thing I wrote about was planning a fully unbounded web scraper for AI. You can click into that. You can see the output from the last journal entry I did. And if you go even further back, you can see how I embed YouTube links in there, right? It's a very important video for you to watch. Sam Altman interviewed by Lex Fridman. So you got to watch that. I make some points. I pull things out that I felt were important. The real thing here is to show you me generating this out. So if I jump to the top and I say, I'm live casting, well, let's use the right language that Google likes, right? What do they call it? Live streaming. I'm live streaming on YouTube again. I'm live. Is it hyphened? Got to get these details right if you want to get the search hit. I'm live streaming YouTube again, more freely than before. And I'll explain that, but before I explain it, I'll use my little keyboard shortcut @P, and that is going to publish this website, right? Tells you which website it's publishing. It shows you the command it's using in case you need to debug it. And then it shows you the generating of the files. It's up to 507. And then it shows you the commands that it's doing in Git. First one is adding any new entries under the _posts, which takes care of new blog entries. And then anything under the includes directory. This is of the GitHub pages, Jekyll liquid publishing system. That's a mouthful, but it's one of the easiest ways to publish static sites these days. I add everything that's under the images folder. You know, that'll pick up some stuff I actually put in there lately, right? Here's 2 that I put in there. No, actually 1 that I put in there, 1 new image, and then the 1 new blog file, right? This is the name of the file that's going to be converted into a published file. It's going to have a much more search-friendly URL. It's done, but it's not actually published and pushed out yet. If I did a refresh here, you would see it still says planning the fully unbounded web scraper kit for AI. So I'll bring up the shortcuts. Well, maybe I do that in over here. I bring up this, which shows how far along it is in the processing, the building and the deployment of the new Markdown files that become static HTML files hosted by Microsoft. Part of the irony of all this is that GitHub is owned by Microsoft for a mere $7.5 billion. Microsoft controls your every habit as a developer. You're using Copilot? Microsoft's locking you into their tool chain. You're not going to be able to code on anything other than Microsoft tools connecting to Microsoft services, which while free at first, they're going to cook the frog on you. You're going to be paying Microsoft for this and that more and more over the years. I already do. I pay my Microsoft 365 tax for Microsoft Office, independent of whatever employer I might happen to have. And I pay my Microsoft $100, they're both about $100 a year, my Microsoft GitHub developer tax. So I pay at least $200 a year to Microsoft for the privilege of using their tool chain. I'm not going to make myself unable to do anything else. So now if I do a refresh here, you will see my journal entry and the stuff I was talking about, right? Bing, list ways to run Jupyter. This is Bing's answer. Bard, list ways to run Jupyter. This is Bard's answer. And then their horizontal line you can hardly see here. I might try and brighten those up, but another Bing Bard question thing. And then who is Robert Cialdini? And so on. So I'm actually going to continue. You might think that's done, but this is for me to think issues through out loud. So I go back here. Whoops, I hit enter in here and it brings me back. And then I just go down to where I left off. And I think through. Yes. So what am I doing? Again, I am live casting much more freely during the workday than I did before. Because in my last capacity at ZD, all my deliverables are closely kept proprietary secrets. In my new capacity at ZD/Moz, all my deliverables belong to you. And there are some good ones. This is all for my day job, even though this first step right now is calibrating to the new world order under chatbots that I must accommodate to or be left behind. Research. All right. Anyone out there? Yeah, there's some people out there. It's been up to 5 views. There's 2 concurrent users. All right. So what am I going to research now? The most important thing for me to know is Neovim Copilot. I'm going to be switching a fundamental tool, right? So I believe in Linux, Python, Vim, and Git as a sort of eternal tech platform. If you know it plus whatever, you'll never go obsolete. You are future-proofed. I believe that so strongly that having to move off Vim just makes my point. How do I install Neovim? Oh, see how habit forming this is? This is why Microsoft is going to get you. Look at this. This is just a standard experience. See more? Why, yes, I would like to see more. Package. Okay, so let's be more specific. And here's context on Linux, Ubuntu. Sudo apt install Neovim, right? I don't even need to copy that. We go over here to the right further. Now, if I remember correctly, you're just seeing screens pop when I do that. I don't like that. If I scroll over to the right with the 4-finger swoosh on the trackpad, you can see spatially much more readily what's happening. So I'm going over here to screen 5, which is unused. I pop up a Linux shell. And you can see it's much cleaner here when it's just, full screen or maximized. I'll get my wording correct. When it's maximized, you got your tabs here. So you could get other tabs for different kinds of terminals. There's PowerShell. There's the old DOS prompt. So they all come up under this tabbed user interface. That's the thing about the Microsoft Unified Terminal program now. And sudo apt install Neovim. And it confirms whether you want to put the 24 megabytes of additional stuff on your system. You answer yes. Now it's going to look different. It's not going to have the, it's going to look different. It's not going to have my macros and all the customizations that I do with my vimrc, but it's supposed to support vimrcs. So I can probably get this to look very much like my existing Vim in very short order. There's Neovim, and Vim is Neovim. All right, this is my first time running it. The API for Vim and Neovim are the same. The code base was once the same. Neovim forked. Neovim also provided a lot of API hooks for modern feature hooking. For modern feature, for a modern plugin design. Thus, why OpenAI chose Neovim over Vim for Copilot integration. Shift V. Okay, the highlights are gray. It's not my Green Lantern green yet. Control V allows you to do that. Shift I, minus space, and you can, see, you're going to be just as comfortable in any Vim-based editor. As the world changes, your mastery of Vim will carry over. And when I say mastery of Vim, I say muscle memory. You got to understand, it's not just generically knowing how to use windowing software and having to hunt and peck and rediscover things through menus. So your mastery of Vim, muscle memory, similar to driving, right? If you want to look at what this is like, it's similar to driving. Carries over to the new platforms, to the new VI-based platforms, because they're all based on the program from back in the 70s. That all these VI derivative, Vim, Neovim, and a bunch of others. There's even VI keystroke binding in VS Code, right? Because Microsoft can't let you understand that there's a better world out there that doesn't involve them necessarily. They're like, embrace and displace. Well, we like Vim. We'll put all your Vim keyboard shortcuts in there, but you're not going to get your Vim RC configuration that you can just move around and get your environment plugged into these different things. You're not going to get your macro system most likely, and you're not going to get this full screen focused uninterrupted view. It's going to all be littered up with whatever user interface nonsense the text editor or IDE, integrated development environment, du jour wants to make you hardwire yourself to. Vendor dependence. Anyway, okay, so I have Neovim installed. So how do you, next step, right? Who's that telling me? It's Bing telling me. I might switch to Bard for this stuff, but see, the habits that I go to Bing, that I go to Microsoft, that I go to Edge is so huge. Microsoft is pulling it off. If Bard cannot advance quickly and use its powerful position, Microsoft will over time win the search engine war through attrition. That's a prediction, my opinion. It is not the opinion of, my employers or anything, but, I've been at this since Alta Vista, right? When I came on board, it was like 95, 96. Alta Vista was the first big search engine on the scene. And I've seen things come and go. And this is the first interesting development since Google displaced Alta Vista. Anywho, how do you get Copilot running in Neovim? I'll check for you typing to me. There might very well be people here. No one typing in chat. Yeah, up and down. Goes down to 0. Tune in, tune out. That's fine. That's fine. It's fun stuff. You can install GitHub Copilot plugin for Neovim by using these steps. Install the plugin by following the official documentation available on the GitHub repository. I clicked it twice. Accept the cookies. Join the technical preview waitlist, download and install the plugin, activate the plugin. Join the waitlist. Page not found. Install the plugin. Generally available to all developers. That's why it's not the sign up anymore. README. That is the README that's displaying here. This is the Copilot docs. For up-to-date documentation for GitHub Copilot, please visit. Are they telling me to visit here? Pair programming, that's the idea. You're doing paired programming with an AI inside your text editor. Overview, quick start, getting started. So this is not showing me that well. Run the Copilot setup. So this is going to be inside of Vim. And I got to remember it's unusual to have an uppercase C, but I'll remember that. There's no hyphen. So it's Copilot space setup after the command, which is a Vim thing. So I'll remember that. But I've never used... I've never even used plugins in Vim. I don't believe in plugins, but this requires a plugin in Neovim. So I'm not only switching to Neovim for this, I am switching to using a plugin system. And you're like, well, you're not using plugins. How do you customize it? Well, there's a lot you can do just through the configuration file, the vimrc. There's certain things you can't do, like fuzzy file finding and stuff, which is built into Neovim. That's one of the advantages. People in VS Code got so addicted to fuzzy file matching because no one knows what files they have. It's another problem entirely. It's something that plagues new programmers. They don't know what their files are, where their files are, because there's so many, so that they have to use fuzzy file matching, fuzzy file finder. You start typing it, it shows you your files. And they have to use command line completion or IntelliSense or whatever you want to call it. Kite was the old AI plugin that they tried to monetize, but no one wants to pay for it. So, but you become dependent on it. As you type, it tells you what objects are inside of what, and it creates all this dependency and keeps you from learning how to learn. You think it's learning how to, you think you are learning how to learn, but you're learning how to be dependent on some very specialized power tools that are a sign of the times. Right now, this stuff is all going to change, and it is making you dependent on specialized tools that are tied to the times. That's a double whammy negative. So follow me and I'll show you how to just have generic technology that will never go obsolete. All right, so enough rambling on that front. Vim plug. Install the plugin by file. That was a bust. Highly recommended that you use a plugin manager such as Vim plug to install GitHub Copilot. So let's see Vim plug. a minimalist Vim plugin manager. Minimalist, that sounds good. It's showing you how it kind of works. All right, the pros. Installation, download vim.plug in the auto load directory. Is there an auto load directory in VI and in Vim? So there's this file here. So instead of like saving it necessarily, I just copy the whole thing like this into the copy buffer. And then I ask, where is the Vim, Neovim auto load folder in Linux? So you could do it the old-fashioned way and drill down on a Stack Overflow page. Or we could see what Bing thinks. .local share nvim. First we go to home, cd tilde, and then we go to .local. Oh, the directory is there, that's good. cd share, and there's the nvim directory. nvim site autoload. Oh, I don't see site. Maybe it's Shada. Site. Let's chat. I don't see site. I see Shada and swap. In there. Really context sensitive stuff, right? It knows what you're saying and what you're talking about. I see it's possible to create it by running the following command. Okay, make their auto load. cd auto load, vim, what's it supposed to be called? Plug.vim. We'll do it with nvim. NVIM plug.vim. I for insert mode, paste it because I've been holding it in my copy buffer all this time. And you see that long file just, put itself in there. We can double check. Last line is s:/cpo_save. Yeah, that's it. So I'll just go over here and save that from Neovim, escape key to get out of insert mode, :WQ, write and quit. And now when we run nvim, there might be a plugin manager there that's auto-loaded. I really don't know, so I'm going to quit out of it for a second. Whoops, quit. And then I'm going to continue this documentation that I've been following. Oh, there it is. Run the :copilot setup, right? So we've done this and we've used a plugin we have installed a plugin manager. I have no idea if it's really active or not, but this is saying :copilot setup. So let's give that a try. That's once you're in nvim, : Copilot space setup. Not an editor command, Copilot setup. Let's try that capital C thing, because there's no way. Yep, not a command. All right. So I don't think we've really installed the GitHub Copilot plugin for Neovim. We just installed the plugin manager. Right. Okay. So we're following this plugin to install Copilot. Install the plugin by following the documentation available here. All right, so you know what? We need to look at the GitHub page for the plugin. So we did this. We downloaded that. That was for Vim. Oh, Neovim. Here's... Okay. All right, fine. It's just a different location. This is pulling the file down, and this is putting it in a location. So I put it in the location for Vim, but I need to put it in the location for Neovim. All right. Vim-plug from your home directory. So I quit out, and then I make dir. And then I cp and that puts it in the right location. And then I cd ... and I removed our auto load, because that was just something rm-rf auto load. All right, so I essentially followed this command. And now the usage. Add a Vim plugin section to your vimrc. Hoo-wee, I hope my vimrc does not conflict. Oh, there it is. That's how they keep it from conflicting. So I'm going to make an init.vim. Oh, it's not local to home, or standard path config dot. Ooh, I don't even know what that is. Standard path config. Oh, you can call an echo this to find the directory. Get rid of the extra colon. All right, there we go. .config/nvim. I don't know if that's really there. Get back the command. It's .config inside of home, which I do have. See, you can just open another terminal here over to the right and keep that open. CD back to home, CD into .config from home, ls, see what configs I have there. And I don't have an nvim here, so I can just mkdir, make sure it's really that, nvim, nvim. All right, so I've got that location. I can CD into it. what were they saying I do there? Add Vim plugin section to your Vim RC. Begin section with call. List the plugins with a plug command. Example. All right. So in this location, I can create a Vim RC. cd./.config/nvim, and now I nvim dot vim rc. Is that it? Vim rc. Yep, to your .vimrc, right? Or set. So yeah, right. I can't use the, all right. And then the file name is init.vim. So in that location, init.vim. You got to get these file names right, or else it's not going to work. So I double check. Init.vim. All right. I for insert mode. I paste this. And now this is the beginning of my equivalent of a Vim RC. The default plugin directory will be as follows. Neovim. So what's it supposed to put there? Those all look like comments. It's giving a path. Plug space the location to it. Get URLs are allowed. Multiple plug commands can be written in a single line using separators. Oh, nerd tree, that's a very famous one. Plug space and then a single quoted path to the plugin. All right, that's what they're saying. It is plug space and then the path to the plugin, which I had put somewhere just a short while ago. Where was that? It was local. No, it wasn't. It was, Vim-plug. Yeah, I think that's where it was, right? I created this. So I'm CDing into this location relative to home. So that is CD tilde / that ls So what goes here is /home /Ubuntu, because I don't want to use relative paths. Vim-plug master. Oh, That's the plugin system. That's the plugin system. That is not the actual plugin. That's not the actual. All right. So first we need the plugin system. And automate the process by putting. And this is Vim plug that I'm looking at. So I'm done with Vim plug. That shows me how to put the plugins in place. Now I need the plugin. Install Git Copilot plugin for Neovim. So this is that Vim plug system we're using. Maybe now we can do the Copilot setup. I don't think so. I would be amazed if that were the fact, but you can do nvim here. Error detected. Oh, command plug, right? So I just got to edit that one out for a moment. At least it's reading it. Unknown function plug begin. That's a little disturbing. But again, at least it's at least we see it's reading it. We know that is the vimrc. Maybe that's not the format that they're trying. It seems like it might be more like that. Live streams, right? This is the kind of thing where I would just knock my head against this until I actually got it. Oh, hello. There's actually someone there. Hi. Who do we have here? Turjak, Jackart. And then here I can see who's actually online. Yeah, it goes up and down. There's still there's someone looking. So if anyone knows what the heck I'm supposed to be doing here with the Neovim plugins, I would definitely appreciate it. But at this point, I would probably go to YouTube if I weren't actually live streaming this. But it's just too much. It's confusing. So you turn off all your tabs except for the ones that you need. And then you go, you isolate it. Install Neovim plugin manager. Let's see if the advice brings you to the same Vim-plug, right? Vim-plug is so there's definitely and it's a link I've already been to. There's definitely some trueness to the process I've been doing. And let's see what this one says here. This looks like a little more promising, right? So I did a lot of this equivalent. Add plugins. You can add plugins by adding lines like this. Oh, there is not anything in the parentheses. This is nuts, right? Because I haven't necessarily installed any of these things locally. But we do have a better starting place for this. Throw caution to the wind. And now let's see what running nvim complains to us here. Unknown function plug begin. So it's just errors all the way down, even though it's reading it. That's really quite interesting. Maybe I'll tell it it's giving me these errors. Vim is giving me these errors. Call plug begin. Thought I had that in there. Call plug begin. And then I'll check this location just to make sure that exists, right? So I'm going to be CDing into here. I guess that's a directory, right? We'll get rid of these. And that's the begin and the end. That looks like it. It's still saying unknown. Unknown function. You might have missed this. Line is required. Also make sure you have installed Vim plug correctly. So let me just do it this way, right? Maybe it's redundant with what I already did. Oh, it's copy paste. Copy, 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 copy. Thank you very much, Microsoft. Copy paste is just a lot more stubborn about things. All right, so that worked correctly. All right, so now let's try running nvim. Hey, it didn't complain, and that is in the plugin, so I just put something in the wrong location. I'll have to clean that up later, right? So I don't really need to clean it up because I nuke and rebuild all my systems from scratch all the time with my drink me script. It's one of the advantages of the way I work. Linux is just something, a Linux server is something that you rebuild from a script all the time, which takes care of cruft and cleanup and getting rid of all the things you don't use anymore. So once I've proven this out, I wrap it into my drink me script, and then it works for all of you as well. It's not just for me. I formulatize this. So let me see if my visitors are still there. Yeah, hey! You're a patient man. I would surrender a long time ago. Yeah, most people do. That's why I'm, quote, bottling it in the drink me script for everyone else who wants to go this route. Whew. All right. Yeah, you know, it's a legit point. You know, people are going to come in and out, and they're going to lose patience, right? So I guess part of my secret weapon is the patience of all this. And you can see I just had this like tiny little major breakthrough. This is working. This is working. So now I should be able to put plug and then some magic command if I already have it installed local. Or maybe it pulls it off of the net. I don't know. Okay, so window organization. Because I don't really look at this that much, we push this common thing that's done. We'll push that all the way over to screen 7 for when I just want to look at this. And then I jump over here to this, and now I've got my full screen browser set up again without all the distractions. Again, it always gets back to that distraction. Get rid of distractions, make things full screen whenever you can. Avoid using tabbing systems for multiple things on the same screen, because that is, a inferior solution to this. This is better tabbing than tabs. All right, so I did this and that worked. And I don't get the error anymore. Let's just outright ask this here. Once you have this plugin system that I'm using, Vim plug installed in Neovim, and have a working init, I think it's init.vim. Yep, init.vim. How do you install the Copilot plugin from OpenAI? Node.js, but I do have Node.js on my machine, so that's actually fine. Install manually. Oh, that's Vim. Following commands. Vim Linux. Oh, it works under Vim. Are they telling me it works under Vim? No. After all this, Copy. When you do a command like this, first let me take that out. When you do a command like this, you do want to make sure you're in home, so cd // just in case it downloads stuff somewhere. It's nice for it to go into your home directory instead of some random directory. And that has cloned it and apparently put stuff in the right location. And now that's done, you're supposed to be able to go nvim. And now that Copilot space setup is supposed to work. Drum roll, please. Vim version too old. Am I doing the Vim command and not the Neovim command? It says Vim version too old, but I'm on Neovim. I mean, I know the version I have. It says it every time you run, see? You shouldn't have to run it. You shouldn't have to do a command thing separately. And it's giving me the same answers, of course. I think it's a Vim versus Neovim thing. Is Copilot available for Vim? because it wasn't when I researched a few days ago. I'm proceeding completely based on the premise that this is Neovim only, and if it works in Vim without Neovim, I'm gonna kind of be pissed. Yes, Copilot is available for Vim as well. You can use the copilot.vim plugin to use Copilot with requires Vim 9. Oh, look at that. I don't even think I'm on that new of a version. All right, so do I follow through? What version Neovim does Copilot require? 0.6 or newer. Oh, 0.43, that's totally it. Let's try and upgrade that. How do I get Neovim 0.6 or newer installed on Ubuntu 20.04? All right, we got to add a PPA. Let's okay, we're quit out of it there. Adding PPAs is not the thing you really want to do that often, because now you're getting software that's not part of the official Ubuntu repo. And I do it for the latest Python, and now apparently I have to do it for the latest Neovim as well. This better be worth it. I think I'd have to do the same thing for Vim as well. So I'd be going through some convoluted process, whether I was doing this on Neovim or Vim. So at least I get the Neovim experience. I've been putting this off for a long time because people have been asking me, and I've been answering, look, use what's installed, you lean into the strengths. And I don't use Neovim because I'm leaning into the strengths of default Ubuntu installs and stuff. So there we are on Neovim 0.9, so I should be able to bring it up in Vim, and it should be confirmed by a little start screen. And it doesn't. Look, it doesn't show you the version there. That's new. That's different. But I should be able to, the history? No, the history isn't even there. But we should be able to do Copilot space, was it setup, install. Let's see if anyone's chatting to me. Yeah, no, not yet. I mean, nothing new. And yeah, there's people still there. That's amazing. So say hi. And yeah, it was calling Copilot space setup. I'm sure it was. It's somewhere around there, but I know it. First, copy your one-line code. One time, press enter. Oh, look at this. We copy this. And remember, Microsoft Terminal, just highlighting is the same as copying. And then you open GitHub in your browser. All right, I've opened GitHub in my browser. It's logged in as me. Press enter. Press enter to open GitHub in your browser. So it's going to do it for me. I misunderstood that. Oh, look, it's opening the Linux version. Isn't that interesting? Don't restore pages. Okay, authentication code. You probably shouldn't see this, but we are going to see this through, so. Whew. Device activation. Now there's going to be something here. Enter the code displayed on your device. Oh, so wait, no, that's not right. Enter the code displayed on your device. Is this going to be the Microsoft Authenticator? Maybe I got to go to the Microsoft Authenticator. All right, so the number of numbers match, so couldn't find anything. Oh, that's the code. That's the one-time code. Darn. I had that in my copy buffer. Let's close this. Oh, device activation here. Let's try a refresh. Let's try it back. Oh. Ha! There we go. This authorization was requested. Such and such. Authorize GitHub Copilot plugin. Congratulations, you're all set. Your device is now connected. Something changed down here. So I guess I can close this, right? I'm assuming you can close it. All right, so we copied the one-time code. We pressed enter to open the browser. We waited. Sign up for GitHub Copilot, dismiss. Type and enter or click with the mouse. Q or empty cancel. Type number and enter. Type number and enter. Oh, I see. Sign up for GitHub Copilot. No access to GitHub Copilot found. Q or empty cancel. So I need to go to GitHub and sign up for Copilot in addition to granting the permission to the device. That was one thing, but now it's going to be some sort of number that I have to enter here. All right, fine. Think. Also stay on top of work, any communication that happens. All right. Let's go to the home page. I guess I was already. Let's search right on here for Copilot. They must be. Promoting it somewhere. All right, we'll ask Bing. How do you sign up for Copilot? GitHub Copilot. Oh, there's a URL for it. Start my free trial. 60-day free trial. Right? Yearly plan, $100 a year, $10 a month, 2 months free. You know what? This is such a career thing. It, one more. See, this is what I'm talking about. You're paying for the privilege of becoming Microsoft dependent, vendor dependencies being coded in, and you have to pay for the privilege of being dependent on them. However, this is my career, and one cannot not have but text editor integration with Copilot now while everyone's encountering this throughout the world through VS Code, but I won't do VS Code. I want to do this way. It's a path less traveled. Let me see if you folks are out there to chat with while I'm going through this decision. There's two concurrent people. If you want to talk about this, go ahead. I think you can see the version on newer Vim with version command. Yep. All right. Yeah, feel free to type at me as I go here. This is me, getting ready to sell my soul. Not crazy about the prospect, but, small price for career stuff, right? Due today, $0. And there's going to be some sort of number. I'm glad it's not showing everything. Billing information. Do I have to pause this live stream to go secret? You know what? I'm going to do that because there's going to be steps coming up that I can't show you. I've already showed you some codes here and there, but this is probably going to be one of those things where I've got to go through this, get a number, and come back. So I think I'm going to stop live streaming. I don't want to lose this precious state right here. We'll be right back.